Hey, so another round of burn after writing. People that mean something to me. People. I'd say God, Source, Universe, Mother Earth, and them as a people. I pray for my parents often. I pray mostly for... Yo, that's so creepy. So on page 68, it says people that mean something to me. Page 69, it says my parents in 5 words. And then it says if you could make something vanish forever, what would it be? All right, so go back to what I was saying. People that mean something to me. God in them. Excuse me while I get comfortable. I have some friends that matter to me. I have some friends that I no longer speak to. I can't really call them friends if I don't speak to them, right? But there are some people that I don't speak to that I still care about. They are mostly projecting themselves in my dream state, so they still obviously sweat me too. Mad funny. I have, some family members that I feel like I could confide in, but lately I've just been really keeping to myself, like completely shut down in hermit mode. I think it would be really dangerous if I decided to start not leaving the house. I'm really trying to do my best to maintain living in the northern states. It's been really difficult for me because I feel like the lack of sunlight is really starting to affect me a little bit. One thing I said I'm going to invest in like this weekend is finding like an herb shop. I need some sea moss. I need just some herbs to kind of keep my energy high and vibrant. My nails, I haven't seen my long nails in months since I got here, actually. So like since September, as soon as I left the Alabama sun, my nails started breaking. So it's crazy. If I could make one thing vanish forever, I would say poverty. I don't think that anybody should be homeless or less fortunate or hungry or lack resources. I think that money is just a way to control people, and putting price and taxes on things separates people. I feel like if there was a show, boom, I had watched on Tubi. This is like when Tubi first started getting some buzz. And they had a whole bunch of wild documentaries on there. Shit about the government, shit about astral projection, time traveling, fly shit. And this show was called like The Man from 3036 or something. He was bald, he had a mask on, he wore black shades, like he was basically from the future. And because the technology wasn't created, there was no way for him to actually get back to that place. And what was so dope about it was that he only was found because he ended up going to the supermarket, getting water and 2 pieces of fruit. And in the future, those things were basic necessities, so everybody was able to get their ration, if you will, once per day at no charge from the supermarket. So him scanning and keeping that shit pushing was like cool. He couldn't do that. He didn't realize like money was a requirement to buy basic necessities such as things that grow on trees and water. So when he said that, it kind of like pushed my mind in a different element and realm, if you will, because it's like people don't realize that we're so consumed in a system that charges for the most basic shit. And I've been talking about living in another country like my whole life. And I always said I want to live in the UK, but then I'm like, it's not sunny there, so I need to find another place. But just thinking about these types of things, and I'm like, sharing with a friend today. I'm like, your job is your job because the United States loves guns. And if you were in Dubai or London, anywhere else, your career wouldn't even exist because there are no mass shootings. There are no openly firearms. You know what I mean? Like, the gun laws are just not valid in many places around the world, So it's like, it's just crazy how these things take place and how these things happen. And I just feel like, how the fuck did I land here, bro? When did I negotiate with God about dropping on Staten Island, New York on October 17th, that year I was born? Like, when? Because I thought I was supposed to be in another country the whole time. From a kid, and you think about your struggles and your adversities and things that you've done, where you came from, how you grew up. I grew up in the projects, in multiple projects around Staten Island. I know how my grandparents got there. I know about government cheese and no frills brands and waiting on these long ass WIC lines and housing authority banging on your door, to do inspections and shit. Like, I remember there was this fly light-skinned dude, buff. I'm telling you, something about the light-skinned niggas. Maybe because I'm light-skinned, but I don't know. Light-skinned love, shout out to y'all. But there was this housing dude. He was buff. He had muscles. He was light-skinned, baldy. And he used to always roll up his sleeves and his muscles would be protruding. I'd be like, sheesh. High key, like 7 years old. Like, that is bae. I used to fiend to see this nigga every single day. Like, if I didn't see him, the day wasn't complete. I would be fiending, bruh. Oh, sheesh. I wonder what he looks like now. But anyway, weakness. Light-skinned dudes with muscles. And, just thinking about those types of moments and days, and that's trauma. Thinking about gunshot wounds, running from gunshots. I remember being in Philly at a 4th of July event with my grandmother, bro, and us running from gunshots. Like, people getting shot, you seeing that shit on the news hours later. Like, hundreds of people in a park, thousands of people in a park, everybody running. Like, just to enjoy fireworks with your family, you couldn't even. It's just wild things like that. Like, this place is so crazy. Ghetto. 5 things that I would say to describe my parents. I had like 150 things just run through my head. Ambitious, fighters, victorious. I don't know what you would say as for somebody who's like who makes sacrifices. I can't think of the terminology right now. My other thought is martyr, but my parents were teenage parents when I was born. I have all of these thoughts in my brain as of late about parents and who are my real parents, and something in my spirit just rubs me differently lately. Ooh, I could cry. And them being young and being first generation Americans and Caribbean parents, people from the islands, Puerto Rico, Barbados, what up? Their parents coming to the United States and creating a life for them. And you have to think about what type of chaos that actually looked like in the 60s and 50s and 30s and 40s when these people came here. Ellis Island was a real thing. Some of my family came through Ellis Island. Some of my family gave up their British citizenships to be United States citizens. Like, these people were coming here to create new lives for themselves, and trying to figure out what the new world could bring them. And technically the new world brought me, they they sacrificed, they suffered, they had their property stolen, their land stolen, their children born into poverty now. You know, you come from riches and wealth, and then it was stripped from you. And it's almost as if you willingly went into a curse. Like, you know, the curse on our people for 400 years. It's as if you willingly stepped into a curse by giving up your citizenship to be a United States citizen. You know, I found some relatives that live in Europe still, who never came to the United States. They chose to go back to Europe as opposed to coming to the States. And my great-grandfather tried to convince them to come to the States in the early 90s, and they just didn't buckle. And their lives are great, you know, and they've traveled maybe a time or two, but there was never that desire to give up life in Europe, you know. And I don't hate that, you know. I just pray next year I'll be able to get to them and see them and meet them, because I want to know, God willing, these people are surviving long enough where I can have that. There is no war or pestilence, you know. But when I think of the story of my parents and, you know, them being young and ambitious and, you know, sure, they had their struggles still. And, you know, I'm a product of that. And, you know, it brings me to this idea about genealogy and these 23andMe's and the ancestries, you know, them doing DNA analysis and taking it. And people are like, fuck that, I don't want to give my DNA to them. And I'm like, bro, they had that shit since you came out your mom's cooch portal. Like, what you mean? You know, and I always call myself Martyr, the Blue Martian, when I wear my helmet, because I'm out here doing shit that nobody's doing, unprecedented, free as fuck. You know, I'm out here pretending that I'm this avatar, if you will, you know, and I just don't feel that I'm safe here in America. And me wearing my helmet sometimes is a form of protection. It's almost like little kids walking around with blankets and dolls and things, like they need that. And I've literally, I wouldn't say convinced myself, but I literally was so comfortable walking around with a helmet on. It freaked me out that people just had such gravitation to it and they admire it. It's the most biggest conversation starter ever. But at the same time, I'm, you know, thinking to myself, like, I'm really a martyr. I'm really out here doing things to break the generational curses in my family. I'm almost 40 and I have no children. I haven't been married. I have multiple degrees. I have multiple self-published books that I've written. I am pretty high up the food chain in logistics. I'm, you know, an entrepreneur for 10 plus years now, going on 11, which is in February, which is mind-blowing. 2024 is 11 years as my earrings. It's just, I'm walking on sunshine. And I'm walking into a space right now where I'm unfamiliar to myself. And I have like a no tolerance attitude about a lot of things. And I have a low tolerance for ignorance in people who are gaslighters or who try to project their feelings on you and persuade you that you're doing the wrong thing by choosing to do DNA testing to find out who you are and where you come from. And it's not even about reparations, because I still believe that reparations is really just free shelter, free food, and free mental health services for 10 years. It don't even have to be money. That's more than enough for me. Give me that for 10 years, baby. Oh, baby. The shit that I would come up from, Lord. But you gain so much from knowing where you're from. And you have to do the research. I've been on this journey since 2011. And in 2019, I spoke to a genealogist and I was just like, fuck it. I'm just going to do a 23andMe and choose to discard my DNA. And if they chose not to discard it, I don't care at this point. Y'all ever seen Gemini Man? Like, people always say you have a twin walking around. There's so many multiple dimensions. I probably got 17 of me. Shout out to October 17th, though. So it's like, I really don't care, because as the martyr, as the black sheep, as the generational curse breaker, whatever you may deem yourself to be, I wanted to sacrifice. I'd rather do that than a chip. I'd rather do that than a jab. Like, this is my truth. Do you know what I mean? I know who my family is. I know where their land stood. I know where their property is. I know that people changed wills and shit. Like, the stuff that I know people are afraid of because I've done the research. Do you know how much power I have? And this is what really deems me as black sheep material. Before, I was already the black sheep, but I'm really the black sheep. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, people are watching me, and I'm saying this to somebody. People are watching you, and they're watching you do all of things that they couldn't have done, or their mothers and fathers and uncles and aunts and so on and so forth didn't or couldn't do because of whatever reason. But that is not a reason for you to walk away from what it is that you feel like you're called to do. I always say that I want something to outlive me, and I don't know how that would be, whether if it be something that I've created, something that I've written, something that I've said, a business. I don't know. But it's just like a Michael Jackson. I listened to Homeboy like he was born yesterday. And, he's just a powerful force in this dimension. And he still lives on. And now he's in another realm. It's just so dope. And when I think of this book, I'm like, it's a very powerful tool. And I think I mentioned that was the page that led me to buy it. Coincidentally, I think on page 69, which is mad funny, because somebody said that to me today. Shout out to you. But I'm going to bed. I think I talked enough today. I started a freeform lock journey, and I look like a whole raga. And something about this journey forces you to love yourself even more and to no longer seek external validation. But I'll say this, if you have somebody that you're dating or getting to know and they're not providing you with your basic needs being met, and this is why I love Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because if your basic needs are not being met in a relationship, get the fuck up out of there, bruh. And don't stay somewhere where you just are tolerated. No, I need you to be obsessed with me. I don't give a fuck. All the time, too. Like, there's no reason why anybody's love should fizzle out as fast as it does in 2023. People should be obsessed and in love with each other longer than 15 weeks. That's just me. The love should just be constantly there, because depending on your age, there's so many experiences and things that you've gone through that people are no longer open and just don't want to share. Like, who cares? They're just lessons. And your lesson can be a blessing to somebody else. All of us have been through different stages and levels of elevation and growth. Why don't you want to share that? This is why I don't care about talking. You know, people are always like, oh, you're so secretive. And I'll be like, fuck yeah, I am. Because all y'all want to do is gossip. I'd rather you fucking hear something on the internet that I willingly told from my voice that y'all want to talk about. Because guess what? Everybody can hear it. Like, people just really sometimes want to know about you just to talk about you. And I'm off that shit. Because I'll slap the shit out of you. All right, bye.